gamelan fit in the British society?
It depends where you are. In some parts of the UK, it's an amazing novelty. There are a lot of gamelans in the UK. You're aware of that? There must be over 100 now. Have you counted yet?
Lots of gamelan actually not in the list. Even my gamelan as well is not in the list.
That list is about 5 years out of date, 4 years out of date. I would estimate somewhere along the region of 120.
As far as I know, on the list, I think less than 100, but I think
Easily.
it's over 100 already.
I would say about 120 now. And so in parts of the country, it's a new thing and very novel. But in parts of the country, people are very, very used to it. I'm coming up all the time against people who learnt gamelan when they were at school. Now, so as a university teacher in the music department, and there's quite a lot of people who do it. There is gamelan happening at the national youth music competitions. I know that there's a children's group from Oxford has played 3 times now and got through to the finals. So they know, people know what a gamelan is. They see what a gamelan is quite a lot more readily than they used to. There's a lot more awareness of it. Obviously in London people are very sophisticated. You try to explain what a gamelan is if you're teaching or if you're working in the north or in Cornwall, and you've got to show them photographs and describe it. But I remember when somebody was having a gamelan party in a garden in Camden about 10 years ago, and we knocked on their door of the neighbours to say, oh, would you mind if we set up these instruments from Indonesia to play for rehearsal tomorrow? I said, oh, gamelan? Said, yes, gamelan. Is it Surakarta style gamelan or Jogjanese gamelan? I said, oh, so you know you're sophisticated Londoners. But I think there's a lot of awareness of it, yeah. It's, by and large, outside of schools, and that's probably where my interest lies most, is in community gamelan groups. And so it's entered the menu of activities that you can take if you want to be involved with group music making, and you're not going to be in an orchestra, and you're not going to be in a brass band. There are lots of, there traditionally were a lot of group music making activities in the UK. Orchestras, though they're dying out to a certain extent, many counties had lots of orchestras. Amateur orchestras, sometimes not very good, but with lots of feeling and lots of enjoyment in them. Brass bands, it used to be, and silver bands in the part of the country that I come from, Cornwall. It used to be that every village had a silver band, doing quite complex music. And so gamelan just has joined that idea of people coming together to make music. And with upwards of 120 ensembles dotted around the country, you're never very far away from one. So though it's very much peripheral music, it's something that people know now what it is. Probably more people, I would say, have exposure to actual physical exposure to playing gamelan than possibly due to a lot of other world musics which have perhaps a stronger link with the UK, stronger historical link. The most obvious one is Indian music. You would have thought that there would be, everybody knows what Indian music sounds because we have a long cultural history with India, a shared history, not all good, but we were part of India's history, India was part of our history in the UK for centuries, and very little shared history with Indonesia. And yet, I would say there's probably more access to playing a gamelan than there is to playing Indian music.
More community groups.
Yeah. Partly because of the nature of a gamelan. You can get 25 people sat down making good music on a gamelan, whereas to play the tabla it takes years and it's never more than 2 or 3 people. Tabla is again sort of the differences between Western musical instruments and Javanese gamelan. The same sort of things apply to the difference between perhaps Indian musical instruments, classical music, and Indian instruments, and gamelan.
What time do you need to teach? Would you like to add anything else? Okay.
Were you going to ask me about Western music?
Yes, I was going to ask, but I was just worried. Is it okay? Is it still okay? If you could tell us, as you mentioned before, you play Western music. How does it differ playing Western music and gamelan?
That's a very difficult question. But I'm a pianist. I was a pianist. I still play the piano. What drew me to gamelan in the first place, I think, was being part of a group. And as a pianist, you're playing on your own. You're studying in a practice room for hours on your own. Whereas in gamelan, it's meaningless without other people there. Really meaningless. And I like that straight away. And then, I suppose, as I became a better gamelan player, I found that there's no need for the other prerequisite for Western music, which is a composer. You don't need a composer in gamelan. The pieces exist, and 25 people come and create that piece, and it's always different, and it's always new, and it depends on your skill as to what you get out of it. And everybody has a role, and you have to understand an awful lot of rules and theory, but at the same time it's very free, very, very liberating. Just to have a very, very small amount of information in front of you which you can play and draw out quite large, quite complex, quite beautiful pieces of music, creations. Sort of like an interactive game rather than something which, as soon as you play a wrong note, it's wrong, and it's not what the composer intended. And performing gamelan, I do enjoy performing Western music. However, performing gamelan is totally different. It's impossible to be nervous because there's so many people with you. They will always help you to remember where you are. They will all just what's going on. There's no need to be lost. It's like creating it is like almost like surfing. Really, you're sort of just finding the piece, and then the piece just carries you along. The tunes, the individual different pieces. They just have a life of their own. So it's much more, I find it much more able, I am much more able to relax and enjoy performance. And not that I didn't enjoy it, I enjoyed thoroughly performing in Western music. But I think life would be longer if one was a gamelan musician. It's much more relaxing, much more fun.
Thank you very much.